Hello and welcome to our first Dreamweaver website design project. In this series you'll learn how to build a complete website from start to finish using Dreamweaver CS6. You can use your own images and resources for this project, or if you prefer you can download all of the project files shown in these tutorials. You can also get the complete series manual in printed or ebook format along with the high definition video tutorials from wizibooks.com. In this lesson we'll set up the contact form so that our visitors can send us messages via email. Inserting contact forms is not as simple as it might first seem, and there's a lot of variables that we'll need to discuss as we're doing this. I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible, and I've already created the code for the form itself. If you've downloaded the asset files, we'll need to copy a couple of those across into our website before we can get started. Or if you're using your own resources, the process of creating the form is exactly the same, but you'll need to acquire your own scripts. Let's just take a quick look at the finished web page so that we know what we're trying to achieve. This is our contact page, and again you'll see that we've removed the banner and there's no boxes at the bottom. Again, we've just got our title, paragraph of text, and our contact form itself. And this is where our user would complete the form to send it off to us. Once the information's been entered, they'll click the submit button, and that will access a script within our website that will send that message to us via email. Some web hosts don't allow certain types of script to run, or they will supply you with their own script. So we'll be constructing this form, but we're not actually going to be able to make it work as we're not publishing this website at the moment. The script that we'll be using is a PHP script, and that's a server-side script, so it runs after the website has actually been published. But the process of actually setting up the form will be the same regardless of what script you use. So let's switch back to Dreamweaver for a second. As I said, we need some extra files added to our website to make this work. So I'm going to open up the Explorer window and we'll look at the assets that we're going to need. We've got a CSS file called forms, and we should have copied that over in an earlier lesson. It should be here in the CSS folder. If it's not there, you'll need to copy that file across, or if you're using your own resources, you should have some sort of CSS file that accompanies your own assets. The other thing we'll need is a PHP file, and the one that we're using is the mail form PHP. Now this file may not work on your hosting package, and you may have to contact your web host and inquire as to what form scripts you should use. But for now, we'll copy this folder across. So I'll go back to the assets root directory and we'll pick the whole folder up and drag that across, and we'll drop it on the root folder of our JOD training site. And when I do that, you'll see that that folder now has appeared and the mail form PHP file is included. One other thing that we're going to need from our assets folder is some script. I've included a file here that has the instructions for inserting contact forms, and it's just a text file, so I'm going to copy that one across, also placing that in the root folder of my site, and that will appear at the bottom of your page. And as I say, it's just a text file. Once we've finished with this, we can delete that from our site folder. Okay, so now we're ready to get started on building our form. So let's open up the contact.html file. And straight away here, what I'm going to do is press F12 so that we can have a look at how the file looks at the moment. So it's just based on our standard template. We've got the banner in here, we've got the title, a couple of paragraphs of text, and we've got the boxes at the bottom. Well, let's go and remove our banner and our boxes as we did with the gallery page. So we'll go back to Dreamweaver and we'll scroll down. There's the banner section. We'll highlight that entire div area and delete that. And we'll also delete the box divs. And again, we'll delete one of the paragraphs of text in the content area as well. So let's save that. And again, we'll go back and preview. So there we are, we now have our web page ready to accept our form, and we'll place the form just underneath. Now if I switch back to Dreamweaver, our form is going to go into this spot here just underneath the paragraph of text. And as I said, I've already started working on the code, and that code is in the instructions for inserting the contact form text file. So we'll open this text file, and these are the instructions that we need. So step one is to copy the PHP folder over, and we've actually already done that. Step 2 is to copy and paste the code into the position on the page where you want your form to appear. So I'm going to select this entire block of code all the way from the opening comment here, start of content form, down to the end of content form, and we'll copy that, and then we'll switch back to our contact page and we'll paste that code just in underneath that paragraph. So again, we'll paste, and you'll see that the form comes in. This is the block that we just pasted. I'm just going to highlight that and tab it in a little bit. So let's have a closer look at this code. We've got an opening form tag right at the top, and we're going to call this form John O'Dell feedback form. There's a method with it, which is post, and the action is a pointer to the PHP file that we also copied over. Now, we're going to keep this really simple, but in future lessons we'll go and look at this in more detail. But for now, we've opened up our form tag, and in there we've placed an ordered list with some list items. Now, we've done this in the past for our top nav and our social media sections, so we should be familiar now with ordered and unordered lists. Within the ordered list we've got the list items, and each of these list items relate to the label and text box that will appear as part of our form. So I've pasted the code in there. Let's save that and go and preview that form on the page. So here it is before we refresh, and when we hit the refresh button, you'll see now that those form items have appeared. So we've got name, telephone, email, comments, and the submit button down here. Now, it's not formatted yet because we haven't applied it to the CSS, but we'll do that in just a second. So let's switch back to Dreamweaver. Let's scroll up to the top of the page now and find the title area, and this is in the head section, and what we'll need to do is to place a link in here that links to our CSS file for the forms. I'll just switch back to the instructions, and if I scroll down, step 3, insert the following link. So here it is, this is the piece of code we want. So I'll highlight that and copy, and we'll switch back to our contact form. Place your cursor at the end of the title in the head section and give yourself a little bit of space, and in there we'll paste that line of code. So that now links back to the CSS forms file. If you're using a different file, you'll need to make sure that this link matches the name of the file that you're going to be using. So again, we'll save that, and if we come up to view and refresh the design view, you should see that file appear in the related files list. So we know now that our form CSS file is now linked to this HTML document. We've saved it, so we can now go and preview. So here it is before the CSS is applied, and when we click on refresh, you'll see now that instantly that form has been formatted. Again, let's go back to Dreamweaver, and let's take a quick look at the CSS involved in making our form look the way it does. So if I click on that, you'll see all the rules that have been applied to that form element. And you should be getting used to the CSS now and how it's laid out. And once we've completed the project, if you want, you can come back here and experiment by changing some of the attributes and making your form look a little bit different. And in our next lesson, we'll edit the PHP file and put our own contact details in there. If you found this series of videos helpful and you want to receive updates on video tutorials as they're released, why not subscribe to my channel? And don't forget to like and share it with your friends.